Earlier this year, Bryce and Lara came into our shop with one of their rangers, Give More, looking for some advice on tree climbing technique and equipment. And Alex spent quite some time with them, and we found out eventually what they wanted it for, which was to put the rangers into the trees for anti-poaching reasons.
One day Bryce came into my store, pulls me aside and quite politely says, "I'd like to talk to you about climbing equipment, and I'd like you to tell me what it's all used for and how best to use it. But before we go ahead, I just want to say I don't plan to buy anything from you. I'm going to buy it online because I think I can get it cheaper." Well, that's a bit of a crazy thing, I said, because it's going to take me a few hours to part this information on to you. To cut a long story short, Bryce said, "Oh yeah, I'll buy a bit of gear off you." And when I found out what he was doing, I ended up selling him a bit of kit at a really good price. Bryce invited me along to the Perth Zoo to a talk about what he was doing with the Rhino Foundation.
We ended up being at the Perth Zoo and listened to what Bryce and Give More and the team were doing here in the Save Valley, and we decided at that point that we would donate these two kits to Bryce and his team for the anti-poaching.
Alex put it all together and he said, "Look, I'm going to do an invoice for each kit and we'll meet at the zoo and we're going to try and make a healthy contribution and help you guys." So I went to the talk, had a really great evening, and afterwards Alex donated both kits to us. We're really, really happy that he donated both kits.
The kits are full of specialised tree climbing equipment. We've got specialist tree climbing harnesses in there, tree climbing ropes, helmets, carabiners, associated hardware, and all the gear required to get some guys up into the trees.
It was at that point also that we realised that Bryce and his team would need sufficient training so they were safe and they could, use the equipment to the best of its ability.
They were really keen to, back the cause and help us, and that they would be prepared to actually come out. Alex would team up with Joe Harris, who's a world-class climber, and actually come out and train us. So for me, that was really a dream come true.
We thought of Joe as probably one of the world's leading practicing arborists would be the ideal person to do that, and Joe would jump at the chance to come over and help out.
So my good friends Angela and Alex Witt called up at one point and said, "What are you doing in July?" And I sort of said, "Well, nothing too important." And they said, "Well, would you like to go to Zimbabwe and teach these rangers to climb trees?" So after sort of picking my jaw up off the ground and trying to understand what that really entailed and whether they were just winding me up, of course, said yes straight away. So what we're looking at doing is a few different fairly simple systems which will allow the rangers with minimal equipment to quickly get up off the ground.
Bryce's idea is to get the rangers up into the trees for a number of reasons. Obviously it's going to give them a really high vantage point, so they're going to get a look out over the plains and the trees, and they're going to be able to see any poachers that are approaching. That's probably the main reason. The second reason is if the rangers are up in the trees and they plan to stay the evening, they're up off the ground, they're away from the animals, away from danger, and they're not disturbing the environment either.
With the kind of tree climbing equipment we've brought with us, it's actually very easy to do. It's something that you'd arrive at a tree and half an hour later up the top of it.
It's incredible to see how the guys have progressed from not knowing how to use the kit to actually being able to climb, and today we're actually doing a very technical climb in this big baobab behind us.
Being here has given us the opportunity, which we didn't have in Perth, to see exactly the best way that they would need to use the equipment, what equipment they would need, and to really hone those sorts of things for them on site's much easier than doing it in a shop. And for us in particular, it's a way that we can contribute in a small way to the conservation of these animals for the world. They're doing very important work and they need all the support that they can get.
They're doing really well. I mean, they're off to a great start because obviously they're very comfortable with physical exertion. They're very fit guys. They're used to doing a lot of training and they're comfortable with risk as well. So they're confident, they trust their bodies, they've got great balance. So that takes them a long way. If anything, it's, as a tree climbing trainer, it's kind of scary because here we are on sort of day 3 of ranger training and they're already doing extensive branch walks that in Australia it's an 18-month course and it's normally around the 13th month that you start getting tree climbing students doing that, not day 3.
The guys are at a new level now. It's fantastic to see their confidence grow. And I'm just really happy from point of view that for rangers this is something totally different to what they're normally doing. It's really another great tool to have in our armory. It just gives us all that extra option. So we're really grateful to Atreus, to Alex and Joe and the team. Alex's wife and Joe's partner for coming out and spending this time with us and helping us. We're really happy.
I think it's a great combining of 2 totally different industries, and I think it's the birth of something really special. So watch your space.
To me personally, I would like to give a big thanks to those guys for teaching us, from the beginning. When we saw Joe and Alex doing the thing, we were thinking, hey, this is impossible. But the way they taught us step by step, they build our confidence, and you can see now that it can be done. So we'd like to thank them very much.